Hello guys, TKG is here for your comfortable LostArk life. In this video, I'd like to cover the newly released class, Soul Leader. As the LostArk guy was asked about the build of one of his Soul Leader engravings, so I thought it'd be great to share some of the builds for your LostArk journey. And maybe you could use this video if you are actually playing the game in KL. Now follow me, I'll share what you need. Before I start this video, one thing you gotta know, this video is from the KL server, and of course it is based on the KL statistic and common experience right now, as the LostArk always try to fix the balance between the class by classes, so in the future, some of the composition of the skills can be changed too. Also, this video might be applied or can be utilized by the KL server players, because the Soul Leader wasn't released on the global yet. And one more thing, the translation of the Soul Leader skills was actually done by me, so some of the skill translation can be different on the actual future release. And as the class itself hasn't been long since the release, so some of the composition, engraving, combat stat can be changed in the future. So watch this video with those considerations and use this video as your reference to your LostArk journey. Soul Leader is newly released on the July 19th, 2023 in KL server. As the class is recent released, most of the skill build is now on the research and some of the build is now on stabilizing. As you can see right away, her identity is consisted with the two types. Soulstone, which can be utilized on using purple skills, and the possession meter below is more like a transform of the Soul Leader. Technically, more like the Slayer burst mode and the Igniter sorceress magic amplification meters, which boost the Soul Leader damage during the activation. But unlike the Igniter sorceress and the Slayer increase the whole damage of the skills, Soul Leader identity activation only increase or enhance the purple skills. Well, let me tell you more about these details back of the mechanics section. The class engraving I'm going to cover in this video is Engraving. For the global players, might be Executioner of the Full Moon or just Full Moon might be more familiar. As I mentioned in the basic section, this class engraving is more like a specialized on utilizing the possession meter. Yep, identity meters. The Executioners of Full Moon would increase the critical rate of herself and also increase the purple skills during the identity activation. And of course, it'll decrease the purple skill cooldown when the possession meter is active. But unlike the Sorcerer's magic amplification only decrease the cooldown, Soul Leader possession will renew the whole purple skill cooldown and fill up the whole Soulstone. But comparing to the Igniter has more free hand to pouring the skills than the Full Moon Soul Leader. As I mentioned in the first, Soul Leader's Soulstone meter is more like a break for the skill usage. So if you are looking at this video, she has a 3 Soulstone break. Once you pour the 3 Soulstone purple skills, it'll turn off identity form immediately and return to the normal form right away. As you might expect, her backbone combat stat is specializations. I think the most typical build in Soul Leader in KL right now, with the critical stat. It has a nice efficiency with the Kimpler weapons and hallucination set, so you can utilize the identity whenever you want. Personally, these 3 engravings are quite fixed to use: Kimpler weapons, Crouch, and the class engravings, and you can utilize or choose from the Adrenals, Crystal, Hitmaster, Raid Captain. And you might be thinking, why the specialization critical build using the Raid Captain? Well, questions can be answered with some skills. Lunatic Edge and her identity, during the activation of the Reaper form, she can get the movement speed buff, self buff, and with the combination with the support, she can get the full efficiency with the Raid Captain too. But of course, it can be a little annoyed about maintaining the movement speed buff too. So the choice is yours. In Nightmare setting, skill cycle can be a little simpler than the hallucination set, because you need to wait for the Nightmare buff. But in other words, that means you have to wait for the Nightmare buff to be turned on and activate the Reaper form. And gotta be honest, right now, I think the Nightmare build is quite a mainstream and most representative of the Full Moon Soul Leader build. But might be great, but in my personal experience, those waiting or managing time was a little bit annoying experience. And of course, due to these reasons, you need to manage your skill combos and cycles more carefully to make it to show you a full DPS performance. Not to mention you could have a slight lower critical rate than the hallucination set. So that means Some of the build also can be added in the near future. Personally, I think build of the Full Moon Soul Reader class engraving are now entering the formalization phase. More exaggerations, I think the build of the Soul Reader is complete. As she is quite newly released, she is quite capable on great damage dealing performance, and unlike the other classes that depending their whole damage on their identity, Soul Reader has more free hand, or more slightly free to perform her identity on her skill cycles. And I think the design of the Soul Reader is quite balanced too. I mean, it is not that OP than the first release version Slayer. And unlike the intricate and complicated explanation of the Soul Reader, she has a quite easy structure to understand and can utilize her skill mostly very freely. So for the first timers on the KL, she might be great to play as your first characters, except for the cost. Cost is really crazy. And as you might expect, her break on the mechanism can be a little picky to handle. Of course, she has a little soft standard than the other identity classes, but still, once you use that all of the Soul Stone, it can lead to in more current ways, we call this Tilnuzu or Hunta, more like DPS leak for English expression. And of course, as I mentioned, cost is another problem for the Soul Reader. Of course, it is dropped a lot right now, but if you are planning to heading directly to the ancient engraving setting, this can be a little burden too. And sometimes you need to choose between the participate in the gimmick or damage dealing. Of course, it is really sometimes, but this thing can be a little bit annoying. But still, I think Soul Reader is quite popular class among the players right now. I think the biggest reason of the Soul Reader's popularity right now is coming from the structure and the design of the Soul Reader. Soul Reader is easy to know and manage the skills during a whole contest, but also it has cool skill moves and effect too. If you want to be a main DPS role in the raid or other contests, this class is just for you. I want powerful and stylish concept class with great or decent damage performance. This is a really great one. And might looks intricate and complicated, her mechanism is quite simple and easy to know. As you expect, her damage performance is coming from her identity, soul stone, and the possession meters. That means if you are lacks of specialization stat, you really have to take some time to see her real face. And as I said, she has quite soft identity requirements. More like, personally, I think she has that many things to consider for her specialization stat if you have some Wells rune on your skill inventory. So conclusion, for the stable identity supply and damaging cycle, you need at least 1600 to 1700 or higher specialization stat. But as you noticed on the previous section, Soul Reader has quite great efficiency with a specialization stat. So more higher specialization stat you have, you will reach more higher ceiling. Sounds obvious, right? Core mechanic is more simple than you expect. It is more like a repetitive mechanic until you reach the Reaper form. I gotta be honest, almost every action you take as a Soul Reader will increase or supply the possession meter. So, fill up the Soul Stone and the possession meter with your skill, and perform Soul Stone or purple skill occasionally when the identity Soul Stone meter filled up. And when the possession meter is filled up, change the form or more like activating it and start to pour everything you got. As I mentioned in the first, all the purple skill cooldown will be renewed, and you can start to pour the fresh or renewed skill in the short period of time. Soul Reader skills can be categorized by the color, blue and purple, and the function of the colors are quite fixed. Blue skill is a Mangja skill, skill of the dead. Skill of the dead are usually used as identity supply. Just like the other specialization build classes has some specific skill that supply the identity. Soul Reader blue skills do that role in the whole experience. So just like the other identity supplying skills, blue skill has a tripod on increasing the incoming identity meters. Purple skill, or pink, or whatever, is a Sashin, skill of the Reaper, and it is a backbone of the Full Moon Soul Reader, main DPS skill with some picky break. For me, particularly, Vestige was quite versatile on many situations. Skill build and composition can be summarized by this text box. For the better skill cycle, naturally you need to upgrade the blue skills identity supply tripod and upgrade the whole purple skill tripod for better skill combos and damage performance. So the priority of this tripod can be summarized by this text box. For the better identity supply, you need leveling the identity increase tripod first, and then upgrade the tripod on the purple skills. Gilding Swing, Soul Sinners, Vestige Order is highly recommended. But of course, the choice is yours. And the gem build can be summarized like this. As the Soul Eater damage performance, I mean all of the damage performance are concentrated on the purple skills, so you only need 3 Annihilation damage gem for the 3 main purple skill, and the rest of the skills, I mean including 3 purple skill cooldown gem, and additionally whole cooldown gem for the rest of the skills. Awakening is recommended to use Deathbringer. Actually, the damage factor of the end and the Deathbringer has not many differences, but Deathbringer fills up the whole soulstone meter when you made an effective hit. Of course, the choice of the Awakening skill is preference, but still, Deathbringer is recommended to use for the Fluent skill combo. As I mentioned in the beginning, she has a quite decent movement speed buff in her skill and her identity. With combination of the support yearning buff, she can get the full efficiency from the raid captain engraving. Lunatic Edge is an example for that. Also, Lunatic Edge skill is an inseparable Sinner skill too. With the show cooldown, she could almost maintain the movement speed buff even with the level 7 Crimson Gem. And in my personal experience, because of these decent functionality on her movement speed buff, I think I never felt some discomfort because of her movement speed during the whole raid. I think a great value is from the mechanism. Mechanism is quite decent advantage for actual gameplay. Somehow I felt like she was like easy to handle a skill and a cycle inside the whole actual raid. And as the Soul Eater has a really soft on supplying her identity itself, so more like you can be more easy to bounce back than the other identity relying on classes. But of course, if you miss everything, it can be a problem. Skill combo is actually not much to say about it. More like Soul Eater combos process is for one thing, purple skill and the Reaper form. So this all combo is for the one purpose, Reaper form. In other words, supplying the identity and pouring everything is literally everything. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching everyone, and always thanks for your big support. Hope this video was a little helped for your LostArk journey. Hope you do well with your Soul Eater with this video. And of course, if you like my videos, hit the sub for more upcoming infos. I'll come back with more useful infos in the next video.